All right. It is Wednesday, March 6th, just about 9:50 a.m. here in California, and not such a bright, sunny, sunshine day for me trading. As you can see here, 3 and 4 for the day. Not great results for me. I did go back to trading the way I intend to trade my Apex accounts, which is one trade per account and then move on, win or loss, to another account. And I just kind of randomly chose and staggered which accounts got traded at which times. And unfortunately for me, two of my PAs were hit with a loss today. So my best PA, PA2, which was only $600 away from qualifying for a payout, did take a loss. I lost $573 basically. And as you can see, I'm now, basically $1,100 away from a payout. So that was a bummer. And then, as well as PA7, which is my newest PA, took a loss as well today. And so that set me back $568 basically. And so now I'm below the starting balance on that. It's the third day traded. So, um, a little difficult to stomach two losses on two PA, a loss each on two PAs. Fortunately, I did get one PA to get a win, so that was good. Made 152 on PA number 6, and that was the 13th day traded. And so, I'm only up not too much overall, $200 basically above starting balance. So, need another 1,400 on that account. So what felt like being very close to a payout, and I'm still looking, by the way, for my first payout from Apex ever. So what felt like I was very close, 600 away, all of a sudden I'm now 1,100 away, and I feel, it feels very far away. But I got to keep in mind that I have a lot of drawdown, so I'm not in danger of really the account being blown or hurt in any way. And that goes the same with my other two PAs as well. I've got plenty of room, so I just got to keep on doing what I'm doing. Days like this are going to happen. Days like yesterday, it's all part of trading, and especially the way I'm trading, since I'm trading a new style, a new way. I haven't seen anyone trade this way before, other than my brother, who conceived of the idea of how I'm choosing the tick charts I'm choosing to trade off of. We're the only two trading this way, and so it's just really a big experiment at this point. So here's the three accounts that got wins. Eval 27 got a win for $338. Eval 33 got a win for $318. Both of those accounts have ways to go before passing, so nothing very exciting on the win side. On the loss side, like I just talked about, PA2 lost 573, PA7 lost 568, Eval 29 lost 747, and I trade 3 contracts on the 50K evals, only 2 contracts on the PAs and the 25K accounts. And then Eval 35 took a loss of 792. So all those 4 accounts got set back. And, I do live stream every day, and that's where you can see all of my trades being taken live here on YouTube. Stream mostly between 9:45 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. East Coast time, which for me on the West Coast is 6:45 a.m. To 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, just one of those days. If you go back and, for anyone that's watching this, if you go back and watch the end of my live stream today, like the last half hour, basically from the time I took my last loss of the day, which was over here at the highs of the day, on a different chart, I'll show it so you'll be able to see it. if you go back and watch the live stream at the end, I go on and I talk about what today was like, what it means for my system, some things I'm thinking about, and just like I had a lot of thoughts that kind of rushed in, and I felt like I did a good job of kind of talking about a bunch of things that applied today, and things I'm thinking about modifying a little bit. So I'm going to try to keep this video as short as I can, but also touch on some of those things. But I definitely recommend, if you're interested in hearing my thoughts about having a day like today, where it's largely, a disappointing, and, I call it a red day because two of the three of my most important accounts, which are my P accounts, were red, and the majority of my accounts were red overall. And the accounts that were green really, it doesn't feel like they were improved upon enough that it counterbalances the loss side. So I gotta be honest about that. I mean, today is a tough day, and it's on the heels of another tough day where I actually blew up account 26, the evaluation, and I only traded the one account yesterday, and I want to get into talking about that a bit. So let me, I'll leave all this stuff on the screen for now, I guess. So yesterday I had a tough day. I was what seemed like a tough day, but after today was tougher, I gotta say. But yesterday I went 6-2, and the way the charts were happening, for anyone that's new, my whole system is based on finding 4 different size tick charts to trade off of for the day. And I basically choose my tick charts by looking through each chart and seeing which charts I can find where every entry on the chart, and I trade second entries, so every second entry on the chart works for my profit target. So I literally look through, some days I could look through, like 10 charts, and other days I'll look through 40 charts, looking for charts where every entry for second entries works for my profit target. And yesterday, it was like as soon as I could find a chart that had all winning entries, by the time I would look back, it would have a loss. And I was constantly looking for new charts, and they're dropping off. And I think my first trade was a loss, if I remember correctly. And sorry, I'm getting distracted. And so right away, I just felt uneasy about the day. And so I changed up my strategy, which is to trade like I did today. Typically every day, what I'm trying to do is take one trade on each account and just work through every single active account I have. Win or loss, I move on. And yesterday, because of the way things were happening, I decided, you know what, I don't trust the system today. I'm just going to trade the one account, and I'm willing to blow it up. It was my worst standing evaluation at the time. And so I was willing to blow it up. And so I took all my trades on that account. All right, I had an interruption there, so I'm just getting back. So let's see if I can remember where I left off. So yeah, every day I'm supposed to take a trade on an account and move on to the next account and just cycle through every account. I did that well today, and I'm definitely happy that that's the way I traded today. Now, the thing I want to talk about is yesterday, the choice of choosing to only trade the one account and ultimately blowing it up. Yesterday, I was 6-2, and I was playing a little bit looser, granted. So there were 2 trades where I actually moved the stop, and I tried to give it room to end up working in my favor. And so one of my 6 trades yesterday, I actually moved the stop, which is against the rules, my current rules for any PA account for sure. But I'm willing to do it on an evaluation, given the situation. So yesterday, granted that, I actually would have been 5-3. Okay. And now there's also another trade I tried to take yesterday that would have turned into a loss, but I missed it. My entry didn't get in time, and I didn't get triggered into the trade. So I could have been 5-4, to be honest. But however you look at it, from the trades I actually was in, and considering that the one trade that I moved the stop and it worked out in my favor and I ended up winning, so that's how I was 6-2. If I was actually switching accounts like I was supposed to be, I would have been 5-3. That's the reality. So today is interesting to me because, if I'm going to get 4 losses, I'd rather the 4 losses get spread out on 4 accounts and get absorbed and no account blows up, especially because all these accounts were in good standing when I started my day, than, to get multiple losses on, say, one of my PA accounts and blow them up in a single day. So that's the reason why I have that strategy. And, yesterday, I could have improved 5 accounts yesterday with my 5 wins. So yesterday I could have had 5 of these accounts. Who knows which ones? It would have been a random distribution. But 5 of them would have been 1 win better at the start of today than they were. And 3 of the accounts would have taken a hit. Who knows which ones those would have been. Now today I went 3 and 4. So 3 accounts, as you can see, got improved today, and 4 accounts took a hit. Now, the reason why I'm a little bit back and forth about how I handled yesterday is because by blowing up this evaluation, I actually gave up 1 account that can absorb a loss. So today, or let's start with yesterday. Yesterday could have been, 1 loss on 26 and 1 loss and 2 losses, spread out between the other accounts, 1 loss here and 1 loss there randomly, right? So today, one of these 4 losses could have also been on 26 perhaps, or on any other account. And just the distribution would have been different. So, out of these 4 accounts, it's likely 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of them could have been 1 win better in terms of profit when I started today. And even if it took one of these losses today, I wouldn't be as far back from the profit goal as I currently now am, depending on how the losses got distributed yesterday. So, when I'm thinking about it, it's a reminder. It's actually a positive thing for how I'm going about my risk management on my Apex accounts. It's a reminder that this strategy is the right strategy for me currently, because if I had done that yesterday, these accounts would have all, for the most part, been in a better position. Yeah, it's possible that 1 or 2 of the accounts maybe would have had a loss yesterday and a loss today. And so maybe those 2 accounts would be in a worse position than today. But it's entirely possible that whatever accounts took a loss yesterday would have just only gotten wins today, and vice versa. The accounts that got wins yesterday maybe got losses today. So I think the random distribution aspect of how I'm handling my risk management is good, and I'm happy about that. So that's one thing, and it helps me not get down about a day like today. It's a bummer to be sit back, especially on PA2. That's the one that matters most to me, and to have felt like I was so close at 600 away, and now to be 1100 away, I got more work to do. But when I look at my accounts, all of the accounts are above starting balance except for 2, this evaluation and this PA account. So out of 8 active accounts, I think I'm at, 1/4 of them are below the starting balance. So I can live with all of that. I think that's all fine and good. The other thing about my system is that, like I was explaining, when I look for my charts, once I find charts that have all winning entries from my profit target, my job to use my entry, or to use my edge the best way possible, is I'm supposed to take every entry that appears. And that's what I started doing only here in the last couple weeks. And it's allowed me to get a larger volume of trades than I had previously been getting. Before, when I was applying rules, even to the system, I was having like 1-0 days, 2-0 days. Like for weeks, I was having like 4-0 weeks, maybe a 5-0 week, maybe a 5-1 week, or a 6-1 week. But basically, my trades per week were pretty limited. It's like 5 and under was probably the average trades per week. Ever since I started taking every entry based on the charts, I'm getting probably on average closer to 20 trades a week when every day of the week is traded. So there's been a bunch of weeks where, for one reason or another, I've only traded 3 or 4 days. But you can see I'm already at 13 and 6 for this week, and we're only at Wednesday. So I've already taken 19 trades. So trading this way is providing me the volume of trades I need to sustain having a reason to have this many accounts. And I want to have this many accounts for the reason I just talked about, which is to be able to randomly distribute losses amongst them so that hopefully they can get absorbed, and that my overall win rate, as you can see, is 80%. So 8 wins out of 10 trades. So if I'm getting 8 wins out of, 8 winning accounts out of 10 consistently, then in theory, I should be getting enough wins to erase the losses as I go, as I move forward day by day. And then these accounts will stagger, that's not a word, but these accounts will get staggered, and eventually they should be hitting payouts and qualifying for more PAs. That's my theory. And that's how I'm trying to progress. So I think what I'm doing overall is good, even despite today. And let me talk real quick about, I had a visitor today who's been joining me in my chat a couple times now in the past couple of days. He found me just recently, and he's been chatting with me during my live stream, which I love. I think it's great. And he made a comment, and there was also another comment at some point on one of my videos way back saying, well, you're risking way more than you're making per trade. So when you lose more than when you win. You don't win as much as you're losing per trade. And this is true. This is common amongst scalping. So if I'm scalping, I'm by definition going for a small profit target. My profit target tends to be somewhere in the range of 11 to 20-ish ticks, maybe sometimes a little bit more. And when I lose, I can lose 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times that much. And it's all depending on the signal bar I take. So let me take all this stuff off the screen and get into the trade so I could talk about that a little bit. All right, so here's the first chart I was trading with. This chart, let me see here. This chart, I had one losing second entry here, which was like a first entry, second entry right below this bar that lost. And then after that, every second entry on this chart, all the way up until this, what turned out to be my third trade of the day, every second entry worked on the day. Okay. And I actually missed one here that I didn't even realize. First entry, second entry on engulfing. Somehow I missed that. I don't know if I was busy with taking a trade on on a different chart at that time or what happened exactly. But I missed one there. And in fact, I took this trade on a different chart, but it was the same trade as here. This is a first entry, second entry. So every single second entry up until this point won on this chart. So my job when I see a chart like that is to take every second entry I can. No rules, regardless. I'm just leaning into my strategy and my edge. So I started the day. I was a little bit late. The news hit at 7 a.m. here on the West Coast, and so the market was like really volatile, and I was a little bit late. So I was opening my chart right when it was hitting at 7 is right when I was opening the chart. And so, and NinjaTrader was acting really slow and just bulky, and just took a long time for everything to load and for the lag to settle down. And so my first trade was here. I entered at almost 7:25 in the morning. So my first trade won. Now I'm risking this. This was an engulfing entry, by the way. I'm risking on this bar, we'll call it, it's a little bit more than this, but I'm risking 34, what's the high of this? 33.25. So I'm risking probably 50 or so ticks on this first trade, and I got 13 ticks as my scalp. So by definition, I'm putting my stop, at the pivots, at the swings. So I'm risking the size of that bar to get my profit target. Now you can see this went much further, and I could have captured more. But that's not my strategy. My strategy is I'm going for a certain amount of ticks, and then I have an auto stop strategy that trails the price really tightly and tries to capture as many more ticks as I can possibly capture before price backs up and hits my stop as it's moving down. So I was able to get 2 extra ticks on this than what I actually am going for. And so, but I'm risking, say 5 times as much almost on that trade. And that's just the reality. And I'm okay with that, because the reality is I'm not risking, on a loss, let's say my risk isn't $745 in this case, on whatever trade this was that got this loss. Or let's look at this trade number 3, evaluation 35. I lost $792, but I didn't lose $792. Everyone's got to understand, I paid for this account. I bought this account for 90% discount. So a 50K account was $16.70. So my maximum risk is $16.70 of my actual money. So I don't care if I take a $790 hit on the account, because it's just besides the point, really. It's just all about me playing a statistical game, both with my accounts and with my entries. And so the statistical game is when a chart is just consistently working and moving for my number of ticks I need for a target. I'm going to just go for it and try to get those ticks. And I'm willing to risk virtually any size candle. So I just want that to be understood. And that's why eventually, once I do ultimately get a payout, and we'll see how many payouts I need by the time the payout comes at this rate. But right now, one $2,000 payout makes me, by the time I get it, I'll probably be break even. I'm probably going to be in for $2,000 at that point in time. So once I have that $2,000 back, and if I can get a second payout and be using Apex's money to trade with, at that point, I will probably stop using stops on my trades. And I'll trade a little bit riskier, because on this trade, for instance, well, I'll get to it. When we get to trade 3, I'll come back and talk about this. So anyway, trade 1, plus 13 ticks on evaluation 33. I traded 3 contracts on it, so I made $318 on that trade. And then I switched to another chart, which was this chart. And you can see here's trade number 2, and it wasn't too much later. And this chart or trade I took on PA number 6, which is the only PA that I got a win on, made $152, getting 16 ticks on that account, trading 2 contracts. So then I switched back to the chart I started with, right? And got trade number 3. And so it's hard to see, but here's the first entry. And then this ticked 1 tick above this candle, ticked me in, and then brought me out of the trade. So once I feel like I can trade a little bit looser with my evaluations, because I'm not playing with my own money anymore, but break even or better. If I had moved my stop on 2 contracts, I would have survived this. If I'm playing with no stop, I would have survived this pullback, and it would have gone on and given me my profit target. So this is an example of, like, if anyone watches Alpine Trader, who is someone that I watch, and how I'm approaching trading my Apex accounts largely stems from what I've learned from how he's trading his accounts. And so, I'm happy to give him the credit for how I'm viewing my risk management strategy. So when I get to the point where I'm not $2,000 deep into Apex anymore, I'm not quite at 2,000, but I will be soon. Then I will start not using stops on my evaluations only. On my PA accounts, I'll need to be way ahead of the game to risk PA accounts the way he does that way. But for now, I'll start with the evaluations at some point. In any case, I took my loss here. evaluation 35, and you can see took the $792 hit. Now at this point I was 2-1, it's fine, and moved on to the next chart that I traded, which was let's see here, bring it up so you can see here. This is the next trade I took. And, you know, a lot of these trades are counter trend trades. Doesn't matter to me. I'm taking every entry as they come. And you can see this. It's hard to see here again, but ticked by one tick, first entry. And here's a second entry. This one got somewhat close to hitting my profit target, but didn't quite get there and then moved against me. Now, here's a case where trading 2 contracts, I'm not sure if I would have survived all the way up here before it finally came back down here and I would have won. But I have a feeling it would have, because the next trade I would have taken would have been the next trade I took on a different chart. But I would have taken it just staying on this chart. I would have taken it here and it would have won. I would have got a scalp here, which would have given me more room. So I think I would have worked out of this trade. And so that's 2 examples where I'm not doing the math here to see if my drawdown would have survived on PA7. It's only a 25K account. And I wouldn't want to do this, by the way, on a PA account, like I said before. But it's possible I could have survived it. 2 contracts. I mean, just out of curiosity, my entry was here. So all the way to the top. 800, no, so I wouldn't have survived it on a 25K account. So that would be maybe a reason to stop trading 25K accounts by that point if I'm trading this way, because I'll need more drawdown to be able to survive if I'm going to play with no stops. But something to keep in mind. Anyway, so you can see I took a loss here on PA7, 2 contracts, lost $568. You know, this is only, as you can see here, the 3rd day traded on it. So it's a newer PA, and basically these 2 PAs just switched places. PA7 was approximately $200 up, maybe a little bit more, and PA6 was somewhere down here, pretty similar. So they basically just swapped places. So that was an even swap. And that's kind of the idea of why I want to trade this way. And that is the risk management. So the $568 loss compared to a $152 win isn't really what is at play or what matters the way I'm trading these accounts. What's at play is these 2 accounts are interchangeable. I don't care if I lose one of these accounts, but the other one gets to a payout and I get $1,500 from the account, then it served its purpose. It doesn't matter which one it is that does it. Hopefully at the same time, you know, I took a loss on this one, you know, hopefully I keep taking wins, and the loss, you know, the next losses will get distributed somewhere else and it won't hit this account anymore. And I'll keep racking up wins until I pay out now. So that's the idea. But here, so trade number 4, you know, the risk was another 50 tick bar, you know, and I'm only going for 11 ticks. So it is 5-to-1 risk to reward. Took a loss. Now I was 2-2. And again, this was the first loss on the entire chart. My first trade on the chart. So every second entry prior was a winner. And there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 entries that were all winning second entries on this chart that all worked from the time the chart opened over here yesterday. And this was the first losing entry of the day, which was my first trade on the chart for the day. And, you know, it's just bad timing, bad luck, whatever you call it. I happened to catch the one that lost. So that's why it actually takes off the, if I was applying my rules and had some reason to take this entry based on my analysis and it lost, I would feel terrible about it. And I'd go, oh man, how come I didn't see this or see that? And, when I throw those rules away and I take a loss, it just doesn't feel bad. It's like, okay, bad timing, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm taking the trades, and unfortunately it lost, but make it a little bit bigger. Unfortunately it lost, but I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The chart was consistently working. And so, so many times bad trades end up working. And this doesn't even look like the worst trade. It does look like, out of curiosity, if I measure one leg up, two legs up, look at that. I didn't even do that before, but look, two legs has been reached. So, you can call it that way. Or you can make an argument, well, here's the two legs, right? And you can say that that's the two legs. And then that one was reached. So maybe I want to consider drawing things, but I also don't want to make too many rules. So I've had my best string of days and weeks trading this way with no rules. And I'm getting the most volume of trades, and I've been able to get the most amount of wins across accounts trading this way. So I don't want to apply too many rules. I don't want to think about measured moves. That's why I kind of stopped drawing them. According to the measured move, you can see I could have taken this trade anyway. It would have made sense the way I saw it, one leg and two legs. But it got a loss, and that's fine. And I moved on. And again, now I didn't take two losses on the same account and blow up the account in one day. I took a loss on two different accounts, and the accounts can live to fight another day. So once a chart gets a loss, I won't trade it again. So then I moved on to, let's see, I think I moved on to this chart here. So this chart, as you can see, I took a win earlier on trade number 2. And so I came back to this chart. You can see here's where my previous loss was on trade 4. Came back to this chart. Now, here's something I want to talk about. So one, this was an engulfing entry. So if I was using my old rules, I wouldn't take an engulfing entry anymore. So this is not a trade I would take. But in the meantime, I took the trade. I got the win. Was up 16 ticks for the win on evaluation 27. And you can see I made $338. So I want to talk about this. So this dashed white line is the opening price. My observations, and when I was applying rules previously, is that I like to take trades off of certain levels. So levels like the opening price, or the high of the day, or if it's the previous day high, or if it's the current day low, or if it's the previous day's close, or if it's the previous day's low. I like to take counter trend trades off of those levels. So this is an example of that. And it worked. Right off the opening price, it was breaking out, and then it just rejected right off of it and had enough momentum and gave me a 16 tick scalp. That's a trade that I love, except for the engulfing aspect of it. But that's a trade that I would trade using my rules. Now, look at my next trade. Now, trade 6. I talked about this before I entered the trade. Now, at this point, I was 3-2 for the day, right? And out of the 5 trades, 3 wins, 2 losses. Now, I talked about this. Okay, here's coming. The candle closed. It was a doji bar. The top of the doji bar was right at the opening price. And before this trade triggered me in, I talked about how I don't really like this trade because it's going right into the opening price. That could be resistance. It was resistance before. It's not a great bar. You see as a first entry, pulled back here a little bit, and a second entry. So technically it fits the rules, right? But I didn't love the trade. And I especially didn't love that I was taking it on PA2. So I could have made an audible decision right at that point and said, okay, you know what? At the very least, I don't like this trade. I don't love this trade. Maybe I'm still going to take it because this chart has not had any losing second entries for the entirety of the session, but maybe I want to switch to evaluation instead. And if I can't switch in time, then maybe I'm going to miss the trade. So that's one thing I can do instead of trading my most important account. Secondarily, the other thing I can do is just say, you know what, I'm not trading with rules per se for my individual entries, except for when they're into key areas like this. And it's so obvious that this is being resistance all day since the open, right? It was like a little bit of support right at the open. It fell through, it came back, it resisted, it tried to break above, it resisted, it came back, it resisted, and it's resisting. So I very much can apply a rule and just say, I won't trade into these levels, right? I'll trade off of them, I'll trade against them and use them as the resistance that they probably are, but I won't trade into them, trading into resistance. And that saves me from this loss. At the very least, I can save myself from taking it on my most important PA account, or any PA account for that matter. And I think that's something, every day as I trade this system, there was a time where I was picking and choosing according to the rules, and it was working. I was getting wins, but I just wasn't getting the volume of trades. Now I'm getting the volume of trades, but I'm picking up obviously some more losses, especially today and yesterday, 6 losses in 2 days. So that's more losses than I really want to take. So maybe what I need to do is just modify. I'm going to take every single entry. So this is an entry I would still take on that other chart because it's not at a level like that. So that would have been a loss regardless. But maybe this one I can avoid. And if I can just avoid these trades, maybe I'm reducing the amount of losses I'll take by a factor of X, whatever that is. So anyway, I think there's 2 scenarios looking back in hindsight and considering that I'll modify what I'm doing moving forward in these situations. One, just don't trade the PA account. I had plenty of evaluations that hadn't been traded yet. Take the risk on the evaluation if you're going to take the risk. And 2, very much can just say, you know what, if I'm on a chart that every second entry has worked, the one time where it is more likely to not work than all these other times is right here on a doji bar, entering after a doji bar right into the opening price at clear resistance. Maybe that's the one I can decide I can skip moving forward. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So today, just taking it as a learning day, 2 very clear decisions I could have changed and not let myself fall prey to like an area where very clearly I can avoid it. Just very clear black and white reasons why I can avoid it. And if it goes on to work, okay, well, I missed a winning trade. Now, the thing that's a mind fuck that will no doubt happen sooner or later, I'll skip this trade, right? And then this isn't a second entry down here, but let's say it was, I skipped this trade and then this is the second entry and I take this and then that fails and I lose that one, right? So I skipped a winner, let's say that goes on to work and then it comes down and I take this second entry and then it fails. So, entirely possible, and I'm sure that'll happen. And that would, that's always a mindfuck when you skip one. And that's why I took all the rules out of it originally in the past couple of weeks, is because you skip a trade, you skip a trade, you skip a trade. And there was one day where there was 12 winners I could have taken. I could have been 12-0 and been done for the day. I wouldn't even gone that far. I would have been 8-0 or 9-0 or whatever. I would have stopped for the day. And I wouldn't have even hit a loss. And instead, out of the 12 winners or 11 winners, whatever it was, I only chose to take one of them. And so I had one win. And by the next time I took a trade on that chart, it was the time it finally lost. And instead of being, 9-0 or whatever I could have been, I was 1-1, right? So that was the lesson on that one. And that's why I started just deciding to take every trade. The other reason too, by the way, if you go back and watch my live stream, I was saying, I was expecting it to retest this high at the very least. So when it set this up, my thought was like, okay, the chart has worked every single time for every entry. And And I believed that it was going up here. And so I wasn't wrong. It did eventually go up there and much further. As you can see, this is the live market right now at 10:30 a.m. But it didn't do it here on this entry. It pulled back and then, essentially it trapped in longs like me, flushed them out, and then it flushed out those going short and trapped them going short, thinking it was like a range day, right? People are thinking, oh, it's going all the way back down to the bottom, trapped them in, and then it shot up, made the new high and even more new highs. So, if you know about price action, then, there's things that that I can use to help me even within the context of this system. But it's really hard and it's a real mindfuck to apply rules sometimes and not apply other rules other times. So the rules have to be like really well defined and really black and white to apply them, because otherwise most of the trades I take will always have a reason to not take them. If I go back and just look at these two trades on this chart, this trade was not a very bearish bar. Okay, so that's one thing. The close of the bar was higher. If I stretch it out, the close of the bar was higher than where it opened. So it's not an extremely bearish bar. And as I showed, you can make the argument that there was a bigger two legs up that hadn't reached yet. And, for those two reasons, you might stay out, saying, you don't believe that, it's counter trend. It's clearly working up now, making new highs and new lows, higher highs and higher lows. So this is a trade that I'd probably not take, but it won, right? Then I go to here. This is a trade that was engulfing. And I had a rule that I've lost so many engulfing entries that I wanted to stop trading them. But I took this one and it worked. It would, it was a winner. So those are two trades that I wouldn't have on two accounts that were winners. So, when you start applying rules, then it's like, oh, I can't take it for this reason, I can't take it for that reason. And then you miss the opportunities to get some wins on some accounts. And so I don't want to apply those kinds of rules, like the max Pats kind of rules. I'm not drawing channels. I'm not drawing trend lines. I'm not drawing anything. I'm not thinking about retests. I'm not thinking about measured moves so much. But what I will think about is important things like opening price, high of the day, low of the day, previous day close, previous day high. I will think about things like, is it going to close the gap? If there's a reason to believe that the gap is going to close. Now look, today the gap never closed to the previous day's close. It was up overnight. It tried to make an attempt to reach it and it didn't. And it kept working the other way. That was a sign that it wasn't going back down. That was a sign, according to price action, that you were going to make a new high for the day. So I took multiple counter trend trades that worked. And then I also took multiple counter trend trades that didn't work, like on this one. So you can see where I'm getting at is applying rules will keep me out of winners that I want to get. And then applying rules may keep me out of some losers, but it likely will keep me out of more winners than it keeps me out of losers. Because even when I think a trade looks terrific, it can still lose and often does. And that's what I was seeing before. So anyway, so trade 6, PA2 got a loss here. And at that point, I didn't have any more charts to trade. I was fresh out of charts that had all winning entries. Oh, look at the sell-off. So it went up, made the new high, and now like a failed breakout of the day's range. And then maybe now it's going to go and try to close the gap, potentially. Who knows? Wow, look at it move. I know that there was some kind of news about a bank failing. I don't know if this is like a late reaction to that. I have no idea what's going on. But anyway, so then let me see. My last trade of the day was on this chart. And so this chart I found after I lost over here on the previous chart. And This is a similar kind of explanation of another trade that I can avoid and skip, but it's important to mention every single second entry up to this point, every single one on this chart worked for the profit target. So literally, if I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 entries, all winners on this chart. Now, I wasn't watching this chart yet. I didn't find this chart until my last loss. So I have seen 15 winning entries for my profit target. And so this one was like, I had just found the chart. I was already saying I'm probably done for the day. I was kind of talking about my day. If you go back to my live stream, I was like talking about kind of lessons learned and things I can think about and kind of getting into things. And then I saw this happen where this candle closed and then this candle started pushing down really aggressively. And I was just looking at the history of the whole session of the chart and saying, again, that's another chart where every entry has worked. And I was kind of saying to myself, well, maybe it's a failed breakout and it will push down enough. It seemed like it had some momentum at the point that I got triggered into the trade. It was engulfing because it was higher at the top and pushing through. So I've talked about how I feel about engulfing and why it was a rule at one point to not trade engulfing, because this is the kind of thing that happens and can happen. But anyway, I saw it like in the corner of my eye as I was talking about my day and lessons learned. And I just kind of impulsively entered the trade. You can hear me if you go back to the live stream when I take this trade. You can hear me be talking and then go, oh, wait a second, just thinking about something. And then it comes down and I just drop my order and then take the trade. And this is the exact opposite of the previous trade that I lost that I was talking about over here. This was trading into resistance of the opening price. And this now was a breakout of the opening price. And after a bullish bar, trading right back into the opening price, which once it's not resistance anymore, it can become support. And if you look at this, I mean, it's a perfect touch. I mean, can you see that? It's a perfect touch right on the opening price and bounced off and propelled it to new highs for the day. So that's price action. That's not an accident. And I'm aware of it. And it's like really hard. It was really hard for me to break my rules and start taking every entry. It took me some time to like really lean into it and say, okay, I'm doing this now. This is how I'm trading. Wow, look at that sell-off. This is how I'm trading. I'm taking every entry regardless of what it looks like, regardless of price action rules, regardless of reasons to not take it, because there's so many times where bad looking trades work. But there are these few limited instances where I am going to remove or skip the trade, or at the very least, just not take it with a PA at the very least, right? And say, I'm not going to trade into these levels that could be support resistance levels according to price action rules. So, the fact that it's a bullish bar, trading under it, going right into what used to be resistance is probably now going to be support after a breakout. I can avoid that. So I think that's how I'm going to modify things as I'm moving forward. Man, I didn't realize how long I've been talking here. It's already almost a 50-minute video. So after having said all of that, again, because this was the first loss of the chart and I don't use a chart anymore after a loss, unless I see some history where I'm trading on other charts and I see that the chart is working again. But at this point, I traded all but one of my accounts. The only account that I didn't trade was Evaluation 31. And so because I traded all of my accounts virtually almost, and I didn't have any other good charts and the day wasn't going good and it was already 9 o'clock, I just had a ton of reasons to say like, okay, today's not the day, time to cut it off. And again, this is where my risk management lies. My risk management is not about my individual setups. In fact, I'm not trading individual setups. I'm trading the entirety of the chart, right? And that's how I look at it. And so other than very specific times like I just talked about where I can skip a trade now based on me modifying how I'm doing this and going about it and applying the most limited of rules, I think that will help me moving forward. But my risk management strategy is everything I just talked about. It's not the individual trade. And it doesn't bother me to take a $745 hit on an account. Today was more than has been typical so far in the 2+ months I've been trading the system. But the reality is I've only been trading the system for 2.5 months, not even 2.5 months, under 2.5 months. So, keeping everything in mind, the system is young. I'm going to have days like this. I'm going to continue to evolve and modify and just try to make it better. And we'll see where it gets me. But the risk management is working because I have 3 accounts that were in the positive today. Locked those in. Didn't risk P&L or profit that I already had, and the losses were spread out on accounts. I didn't blow any accounts today. And they're not in danger of being blown. It's going to take more than one day and more than one trade for any of my accounts to blow up when I'm trading this way, which is different than yesterday when I blew up account 26 on a 6-2 day, right? So that's where my risk management strategy is. It's spreading it out across the accounts. I'm not using the trade copier for this reason. And we're going to see where this leads me. All right. We're going to see where this goes. Will I get to a payout? I don't know. I don't know the future. I haven't gone one yet. I've been at this a long time on Apex. It's at the end of this month, I'm coming up on 1 year on the Apex. I would love for it to be a 1-year anniversary with a payout or 2. And there's no reason why 1, 2, or even 3 of my PA accounts can all get there by the end of the month. It's entirely possible. And even if it takes a little bit longer, even if I only get 1 or 2 payouts from these 3 accounts, it will be a successful year for me at that point. So I'm not getting down. I'm not down and out about today. It's just one day. It's a blip. And I think overall the strategy is still doing what I want it to do. And when I say the strategy, it's 2 parts. The BS strategy of my entries and then my risk management strategy of my accounts. So I hope that I've covered everything that anyone might want to ask. I did notice too, I got to mention it. I don't know if you'll make it through this entire review to hear this, but someone came in right at the end of my live stream and asked a question and I didn't get to it. I didn't actually see it until I shut down the live stream. And then when I looked at the window, I saw that there was a comment there. So someone named Paris, who I haven't seen comment in my chat before on the live stream, asked me what tick charts I'm using, like what's the range from the lowest tick chart to the highest tick chart. And I would say I'm willing to look at everything between a 1,000 tick chart all the way through. I think the highest I've looked is 5,000. And I'm willing to trade off of any size. And like literally I'll go by 100. I'll check 15, 1600, 1700, 1800, 1900, 2000, 2100, 2200. I'll check every single tick chart with 100 ticks in between, all the way up to 5,000, and that's just how I'm doing it. I personally believe that the size tick chart is completely arbitrary, and it doesn't matter which tick chart it is. All that matters for me in my system is whether the entries are working for my profit target. And that's what I'm looking for, is I just want to know that when there's a second entry, my profit target gets hit. And that's the key for me. It really doesn't matter what size tick chart. When I started off, I was like, oh, I'm only going to look at the 2000 and the 2500 and, maybe every 500 or something. And over the course of time, I just it doesn't even matter. It's because there would be days where it's okay, I checked those limited number of tick charts and there were no charts that I could trade for the day. I was okay, next theory, what if I just check every 100 until I find ones I like? And that's been working for me for the most part. On a day like today, day like yesterday, not as much, although yesterday wasn't terrible. But it's been working for me. And I'm going to continue to test it. This whole thing, my whole trading on YouTube is all about experimenting with a new strategy. The whole thing, that's all I'm doing. And that's really, that's the whole deal, you know? So you're going to see me have losing days. You're going to see me have winning days. I know a couple people it seemed like a little bit excited or interested in me because they're seeing me have a 4-0 day on a day that was not a great trading day, not great PA. The price wasn't moving great on NASDAQ, and I still had 4 trades, and so there's a little bit of excitement, like, wow, you have 4 trades and I haven't been able to get any, or I'm down, you know, because it's just choppy. And I happen to have a good day that day. You know, last week I had an 8-0 day, but this is the reality of trading. And you know, a 3 and 4 day is going to happen. Unfortunately, it's going to happen. And that's why I'll use my risk management strategy this way. Spread out the losses. It's not devastating. I can recover every account, every red account today. They can all recover and go on to be successful. So we'll see if it happens or not. I appreciate you checking out the review. I'm sorry this video was so long today, but I hope it was interesting for someone. Maybe someone will get something out of it. For me, I'm definitely getting a lot out of doing this. It helps me to be able to say all these things out loud, for me to learn from and like record my thoughts on the day. And so that I can make these kinds of changes where I can avoid some of these losses without applying just a ton of rules that then make it so I only get 1 trade a day or 4 trades a week. I don't want to go back to that. And so, yeah, I appreciate anyone that's joining me here. Appreciate any likes and subscribes you are willing to offer. I'm showing it all here. I'm showing my wins, my losses. I'm showing my accounts, my P&Ls, my balances. I'm showing my statistics. You know, I'm showing everything I can to just show a real journey of someone who hasn't figured out how to be profitable yet. Someone who's not a bad trader, but who has done multiple different styles of trading, applying different rules and strategies, and just trying to find my way to what works for me. And I'm just putting it out there. It's not easy. I think for most people that are trying to figure out how to trade and become profitable, it's not an easy journey, and everyone's going to go through difficult times. I mean, I had PA accounts 1 through 5 at the end of last year, and I blew up 4 accounts, 4 PA accounts. I now have 3 that are active again, but I only had 1 out of the 5 that survived. And, when that happens, it's tough, and when you've been doing this for a year on Apex almost now, it's difficult to keep going. And so I'm just showing it, and I don't know if I'm ever going to get to where I want to get to, but I'm going to keep trying. I haven't given up yet. I've been trading futures. I was trading ES futures for 3 years, and then I switched to NQ just this year. So it's still very new to me. I've only been trading NQ for 2 months. So we're going to see where this all goes, and whether I get there or not, it'll be here for other people to see. And I don't take a trade off stream. I'll never take a trade that isn't recorded on stream and that you can see. And I'll never not do a review. And I'll never, these accounts will never change without it being able to be seen here on YouTube. So that's how I'm moving forward. And if it helps anybody out there, that's great. And but I'm not trying to teach. Like I said, there's nothing for me to teach here. This is just me trying things and seeing if it's going to work. And you can take from my experiences what you will and apply it or don't apply it to what you're doing. But the purpose of this for me is to just document a normal guy trading on Apex and seeing how it goes. Okay, speaking of Apex, 71% discount. Can use this code or any other. I always appreciate it if anyone uses my code. You can also see the link in my description, and that can take you to Apex's website where you can purchase accounts as well. But if you use my code, I get a little bit of a commission, so I appreciate that if anyone's interested in starting their Apex journey or continuing it. And if anything I'm doing here is helping or, just inspiring, then yeah, I appreciate you using it. They are currently running a promo, so evaluations only take 3 days to pass minimum. You can take 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. You can use the whole month. And you have a month to pass before the account would renew. So, and you pay, it's basically like a subscription. So then you'll pay, in this case, if you buy it for 71%, you'll pay 71% discount on the renewal as well. And so you have anywhere from 3 days to a month to pass, or pay a renewal and continue into a second month. And you can take as long as you need to pass the evaluation. And then once you pass, you pay a fee and you get your PA account. Also, if you bust any accounts, you can just pay $35 to reset any size account. So if you have larger accounts than the 50K account, that's a really great deal. But even on a 50K account, it's a pretty good deal, because at 71%, I believe it's $45, $40-ish for a 50K account. So you're saving a few bucks if you just reset. But when you reset the account on Apex, you don't get a full another month to trade. Your renewal date stays the same. So if you're close to a renewal date, then it's probably not worth doing a reset. You probably want to just get a new account, or blow up the account and let it renew and reset at the renewal day. All right, I think I've said it all for today. Let's see where we're at. 117 wins and 30 losses for the year 2024, right at 80%. Still overall right where I want and need to be. I'd like it to be a little bit higher, but 80% is great. 13-6 for the week. Definitely not having a great week. It started off strong and started off good, but today with the 4 losses and the 2 losses yesterday, 6 losses in 2 days. Definitely the worst 2-day stretch I've had trading this system. And of course, 3 and 4 today. 3 wins out of 7 trades, 4 losses, 43%. Definitely not great, but a lot to take from today to move forward and be positive. And I know that I'm still on the right track. I'm doing a lot of things that I need to do, and I need to go through these experiences to just mold and shape how I'm trading. And I still believe I'm going to get to where I want to get to. So, having said all of that, I've definitely said it all, and I appreciate you watching the review here. I appreciate check me out every day on the live stream, 9:45 to 12:30 on the East Coast, 6:45 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. on the West Coast. And I'm losing my voice, so it's time to end it. That's this when I do these review videos, it's the most I talk my entire day, every day. I'm not a big talker, so my voice gets very tired doing an hour of this. Anyway, appreciate it. Hope you had a good trading day. Hope it was a better trading day than I've had, better trading week than I seem to be having this week. And I'll be back at it tomorrow. Come check me out, see how it's going. Feel free to say hi, ask questions, talk to me. I'm down. All right, that's it for now. See you tomorrow.